Hey guys, RC here. Welcome back. We are starting episode 3 of this Let's Play. And again, the goal of this Let's Play is to check out the option or wishbone attack that comes with Draft Day Sports. And I will probably do a Let's Play down the road using a spread attack. Now, first off, I guess let's go in and set our depth charts. Mahrez is still probable with his allergies. I didn't play last week, so I'm not going to change anything here. I still have the option for everything, so I think we're good there. Let's come back to the home page, and I do have 2 emails. All right, so Lewis Palmer, a tackle, signed with Alabama, and we did have a scholarship offer on him. Okay, so he signed with Alabama very early. That's okay. When you lose a player, you get his points back to use for somebody else. Okay, so that helps us out here. All right, first thing I want to do is I want to look at just my targets and just the guys that I'm actively recruiting. All right, and I really want to focus on these quarterbacks first. All right, so Rolando Cornett. All right, he's got a pro bloodline. They all have interviews done, so none of them are classified as a dual threat. Okay, now this guy's a 70 interest. I have not scouted him yet. We're the only guy after him. That's strange. Okay, and I've got 5 points on him. Let me think about him. If I leave the 5 points, I may be wasting them, but those are like 5 bonus points that aren't going to do me any good anyway. So I'll come back to him. Carpenter, pro bloodline. Speed is decent with exceptional agility. Now, decent, it's not quite average. It's just he's not Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, so he can move a little bit, but he's not going to be a guy that can break an 80-yard run, although he does have good feet with his agility. Fantastic, exceptional, exceptional. Okay, so I do like him. Hell, I would change my offensive scheme probably to have him. Um, Now, these may not be exact because you notice my report certainty is only at 16%. It gives me a pretty good idea, though. Those things should not change a whole lot. I mean, he's not going to go from awful to greatest in the world in strength. He may go from awful to fine or decent. Decent might go up just a little bit to average. And these could come down a little bit, but typically your first look gives you a very good starting point. So to use a number scale, at least this is my understanding. Let's say the guy ranks, and I wish they had numbers to some extent. The words are great, but they're kind of confusing and vague because they don't really tell you exactly what he is. But let's just try to use some number comparisons. So let's say his arm strength is a 9. Well, as I continue scouting him, he could move up to a 10, he could drop to an 8, maybe even a 7. I would say that would be a stretch, but he's not going to end up being a 5 or a 4 or a 2 in that category. The closer you get to 100% on that report accuracy. All right, let's look at this guy. Remarkable speed, but only pedestrian agility. Now, agility is the ability to avoid people trying to get you. In this case, you would want good agility for a running back, a receiver, a kick returner. It would also be good for your quarterback to have if he's going to be a running quarterback. Sorry, I needed to wet the whistle there a minute. Good arm, pedestrian intelligence, exceptional accuracy. 28% on the report. Well, he's got good speed, but he's not going to avoid many tackles, so he's not going to gain a lot of yards. So that's not going to be good for my offense. And even when he does throw the ball, intelligence is his ability to avoid throwing interceptions. So while his arm and accuracy are good, he's still going to throw a lot of picks, according to this. Now, again, I could scout him and get it up to 100%, and that may improve to to good or whatever. Right now, I'm going to say that I don't want him on my team, so we're going to pull off of him, in my opinion. All right, now he's only got 8 points. Being scouted by a few people. All right, remarkable speed, deficient agility. So that's really bad. So we're gonna pull off of him as well. And so you can see, typically I would not scout so many players at one position, but because I need a specific quarterback, I really need to. And in fact, what I might want to do is actually, instead of interviewing those guys, is put their points and put maybe 2 or 3 points of scouting into say 10 of them, and that's going to give me the same results as say interviewing 6 of them, and then I can do the interviews if I feel the need to. Thank you, Keith, for subscribing to me on YouTube. Appreciate it. Uh, but so for this, in this instance, and typically I would say do the interview first, but in this instance, because I kind of need to know what kind of player they are, then I really need to kind of be looking at the scouting more so than anything else. Average pedestrian. Now, he would be a really good pocket quarterback, but not what I'm looking for this offense. Terrible speed. Okay, so again, we're going to back off of this guy. All right, now let me come back down. So now I'm down to 2 guys. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and up him to 10, and I'm going to put 5 scouting points on him, because he's very interested in coming to my school, but I need to find out what kind of player he is. So we're going to give him some of those points. And see what happens. Okay, now I want to go back to all my players. All right, now we need to start evaluating here. So we've got interviews are done. Interviews. All right, I need to schedule interviews. I am looking at their interest. As long as they're relatively high, I'm going to go ahead and schedule interviews. All right, so that's got all my interviews done. I still have enough points to do all the rest of my scholarships. So let's do this. I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at only quarterbacks, not recruiting. Oh, we still have, oh, okay, we still have guys that are not being recruited. So let me take a look at some of these guys. All right, so here's a strong safety. All right. I'm going to go ahead and offer him. Let's see, remarkable speed, exceptional agility. Now, I haven't spent any. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure he's a dual threat quarterback. Now, he's got a good arm, great strength, so he can break tackles. He can avoid tackles. He's got remarkable speed, remarkable accuracy, and a good arm. He's going to throw picks, but he's actually what I'm looking for in my quarterback. So he's highly interested. I'm going to go ahead and pop another 5 points in scouting to try to dial in on him a little bit more. All right, but he's already got 3 guys on him, so we're going to hide him. Oklahoma State fullback. Let's see if 10 points gets, all right, that gets him interested. And we'll schedule an interview. See, I'm not going to waste time scheduling if I'm just going to hide him anyway. All right, he's heavily recruited, so we're going to pull him. And I'm going to go ahead and hide him too. You know, because I'm already in week 3. So if you think about the points that you've committed to somebody, I don't have any points on this guy. That means these other teams are already potentially outscoring me in points 30-0. And so that's not beneficial for me to try to make up that kind of ground. Now, it's possible that an Oklahoma, with our prestige, our conference, and everything else, the way it's been explained is that if for every point that you put in, it might be worth 1 point, it might be worth 1.25 points, it might be worth 2 points, it might be worth 5 points. There's hidden evaluations for the player. So let's say, to use my alma mater, Louisiana Lafayette, small school, Sun Belt Conference, Oklahoma, Power 5 school, Big 12 Conference. If those 2 teams recruit the same player, just because of the prestige, the name recognition, the conference recognition, and everything else, Oklahoma's going to have more cachet than Louisiana Lafayette will. So that player is going to look at both teams, and if they both do the same exact thing, Oklahoma's is going to mean more. Now, if Oklahoma sends him a letter, and then Louisiana Lafayette flies him down to visit the campus, has him come out to a game, the head coach comes to his house and spends the night and climbs a tree like Jim Harbaugh, you know, every assistant coach on the staff comes out and visits as well, you know, then now they're doing 10 times more than Oklahoma. Maybe, just maybe, that swings the kid over to Louisiana Lafayette, if that makes sense. All right, so I think I've touched all these guys, which I have. All right. Now, I'm just going to come down the list here and start looking for people that have not been recruited at all. I don't want to look at a ton more because I really need to get, and this is something about doing it this way, and at least in the way I'm evaluating it, is you really have to recruit differently, in this type of offense, by looking for a specific quarterback. So it's really changing how I am approaching my my recruiting here. Now, one thing I really wish that they had was high school statistics, because then I could look and say, okay, well, this player never runs ever, and that's going to be a big red flag, right? Or this player has a 42% completion average. That may trigger me not to even look at that player. And I think that would be realistic, because that would all be information you would have before you even started recruiting a kid anyway. So maybe something to think about for a future release, a patch down the road. I don't know. We're going to like I said, I'm not going to do the. I'm going to put the 5 points into scouting all 3 quarterbacks rather than interviewing them at this point. I'm not even going to offer them yet. Well, you know what? I'm going to offer these 2 guys, and I am going to put. Oh man. See, this is where I just don't know. All right, I'm going to put 10 points on the Hawaiian kid, and I'm going to put 3 points on Donovan Johnson. Golly, I wish now here's where you got to make up your mind. Do you want to pull off of somebody else and put it on these guys? You know what? I'm going to take these 3 points and I'm going to go there. Now the thing is, these guys are ranked so high. If you don't put 10 points and somebody else comes in on them this week, you've already lost them. Even this guy at 107 is a 4-star. I'd feel a lot safer doing this 3 points with a 3-star, but at the end of the day, if one of these 3 guys hits, I'm going to put all my points on them anyway. So, I tell you what, the one guy that I put, I'm going to schedule an interview with him. And I'm going to go ahead and go 10 points. Now, do I want to do 2 interviews on people without having any recruiting points, or do I want to come back up here, which I think I want to do, and start scouting these guys? And I think that's what I'm going to do here. All right, so there's the rest of my points. All right, so we were off in week 2. Now we're into week 3, and I want to be able to see based with our new game plan. And all we did is I've tweaked the settings in the game plan to use more of the default playbook that comes with the game to see if that does anything. The game does pop up your back screens when it does that, so just ignore that. All right, back to the home. All right, we won 37-9. So let's take a look at our scoring again. All right, a 3-yard run, a field goal, a 12-yard run, a 4-yard run, a 16-yard pass, and a 3-yard run. So immediately you can see we've got a lot more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. And isn't it ironic? I didn't even realize I was playing Hawaii this week, but that quarterback that we added was in Hawaii, so it fits with the game plan. We visited the kid while we were on the island. All right, if we look over here, 27 first downs. That's indicative of a ball control offense. 521 yards, only 92 passing, 10 of 17, 62 rushes for 429 yards. So immediately we see an improvement in the number of rushes. We also see an improvement in the time of possession and the ball control, even with a faster paced offense. Now you can also see, if we look down here, Muller is my freshman, the one that I wanted running the option. So 4 of 9, 35 yards, 4 carries for 22 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, and a touchdown from my quarterback. So boom, we see right there that it actually did work a little bit. Fullerton is my passing quarterback. Okay, a little higher average, a little higher rating, much better completion percentage. All right, now let's take a look. Smith, running back. Dove was a running back. Acosta is he's a third running back. All right. And there's Wyatt. So Again, I do see a little bit of issue with the fullback not getting the ball a lot. Now, again, when you think about it from today's perspective, a fullback just doesn't carry the ball a lot. But in a wishbone attack, it was not it was not uncommon for your fullback to actually be your leading ball carrier. In fact, if you go back to the 1970s, even in pro football, when you think of the feature backs for football teams, you think of guys like Emmitt Smith, Eric Dickerson, Adrian Peterson, and these guys were all what they call a tailback or the primary halfback. The other person would be the fullback. So a fullback became a blocking back. But if you go back to the 70s, Franco Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers was actually the fullback. Rocky Bleier was his running back and was more so the blocking back in that offense. In the three-headed attack by the Miami Dolphins, the year 1972 when they went undefeated, you had Jim Kick, Mercury Morris. They were the running backs. Larry Zonka was actually a fullback, and yet he was the leading rusher on the team. He got more carries than the other two guys pretty much combined. So your fullback was a feature position and was actually at one time considered the feature back in these attacks. So this was an issue with the previous game, and I think it's showing that at least through two games that it's an issue in this game as well. That it's that even though you're running the option attack or the wishbone, they're just not giving the ball to the fullback very much. Anyway, that's my opinion there. But at least it's an improvement, not score-wise, but on production and what we're expecting to see out of a option type system. We lost another player. John Hill went to Mississippi State. We lost two players off of our board that we had not offered. All right, let's go back to the overview. We play West Virginia this week. Doesn't appear. All right, he's probable with a pinched nerve. And he's the only guy injured, so I'm going to leave that the same. I am going to tell you what, all of these wishbone passings I'm going to put into the spread. I'm going to put this into the option. And we're going to put that into the spread. And the reason I want to do that is because in my option, in my wishbone, we're getting the freshman player throwing the ball. In the spreads, now we're going to have the more pass-centric quarterback coming onto the field. So I want to lock that in. Let's see, where are we at time-wise? All right, we're just a couple of minutes away from a cut anyway, so it looks like we'll get about 1 week per video done, and that's fine. Like I said, we're doing a lot more with the recruiting and stuff in each video, so that's just how it's going to be. So at least we've kind of developed a pace. So we've already kind of done our week review. Now we'll do the recruiting and get into our next week in the next video. Thanks for checking these out. Hope you're enjoying them. If you have any comments, any questions for this video or any other videos, please leave your comments below in the comments section. I do try to answer all of those. And if you have not checked, if you're tuning in for this particular series, please check out some of my other series as well. I do have an Out of the Park Let's Play going on with the Kansas City Royals, currently in Season 2. And I do a lot of stuff with Fallout, Skyrim, And then I have some Dwarf Fortress, just some odds and ends that I put out there. And if you want to keep up with when I do post the videos, subscribe to the channel and you will get notified anytime I put a new video up. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.